All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Andre.
Brian, welcome back, everyone.
Talking business. So
we were talking earlier this morning. We were talking about small businesses.
Yep.
But sometimes you have a day job, a W-2 type job, and then you have an idea or a passion or something that you want to go out on your own. So a lot of times somebody goes out and starts doing whatever it is, baking pies. So you've got a 9-to-5 job doing whatever you do and whatever you enjoy, but your real passion and what you want to grow is this small business. So we were talking about some of the challenges and some of the pitfalls that can be avoided just simply by talking about it. We were talking about that one in particular that was, started doing weekend markets, like farmers markets, things like that, church fairs, and it grew and it grew and it grew, and they're kind of a good case study for some of the pitfalls that you can avoid. And the first, which, talking to an attorney.
Yeah.
So, the foundation of any company is its organizational documents. If you're an LLC or you're a corporation or a sole proprietorship, or maybe you're nothing, but you need to talk to a business attorney. There's lots of attorneys out there. They're all well-trained, well-educated, but somebody who works in business, and you can ask other business owners for referrals. But even if you're up and running, have them review what you have. Do you have an operating agreement? Do you need an operating agreement? Do you have a succession plan in place? So some of those founding documents,
Yeah, and this is something that, we often get questions on, and sometimes a person's or a group of people, partners, they're already past this, where they miss this step.
Yeah,
right.
Because it's one of the most common.
Yeah, definitely. And you never think that you actually need it until someone asks you for it.
I'd say one place to just stop with it is that there's two things. Okay, there's the minimum required to open a bank or a checking account at a credit union.
Yep.
So there's a couple of documents, a few documents you need there. That is not all the documents that a company can need. So
because you can do it yourself, right? I can go to the Michigan government website, .gov, right? I could articles of incorporation.
Sure.
Right, I get paid $50, and then I get an email that says, "Hey, this is ready to go."
Yep.
I go to irs.gov. I get an EIN number,
tax ID number.
Tax ID,
EIN or tax ID numbers. Like a human being has a social security number usually. A company has a social security number, and it's called an EIN, employer identification number. But you're right. So you go to Michigan, you get the name for $50.
And that's it. People just move on.
Right. And can you come into the bank or credit union and open your account with that? That's probably all you need, other than some personal documentation to get the account open. But it's not necessarily complete or correct, depending on what business you're in.
Yeah.
And maybe you set up as an LLC, but you really should be a S corp, or maybe you're an LLC, but you're really a nonprofit. There's so many different. It's one of those things that, for the small amount of money you're going to save by trying to do that part yourself, even if you've already done it, it's not too late. Talk to somebody, and before you really scale the business and grow, where the problems just multiply, it's very easy. I think that'd be number one. Like, if we were making a checklist, I think that'd be number one on my checklist. Make sure you're incorporated or you're formed properly.
Right. And you never know. Also, I would say this, and we get this example quite a bit, is when you have this small business and there's other people involved. So maybe it's your parents, maybe it's just outside of the family, maybe it's a distant cousin, maybe it's someone that you went to school with, and there's sometimes this bond, right, that's formed, and you think it's stronger than what's on paper. But then later, as you actually incorporate and you start moving forward and you actually have a business and you're opening, and there's liability and there's problems, right? And those can affect you, right? There's folks that could, God forbid, hit someone driving on the way, or something on the road can happen.
Or you see families torn apart, because I thought Andre and my business was going to be a 15% partner, but he thinks he's a 50% partner.
Yeah.
We don't have anything on paper. Maybe that doesn't mean much for a while, but all of a sudden, down the road, I want to sell, or maybe I want to finance something. and it does become
All-
an issue, and
all
when we
of that,
fill
yeah.
out the taxes every year, and a lot of small businesses just started pretty informally, you know, oh, I got a great idea, we're doing this, oh, I need
Let's do it.
$5,000, here's
Yeah.
$5,000, and, you know, it's just the formalizing of it.
Mhm.
And the doing it properly is different than what you need to open a checking account. What you need to open a checking account, yes, you need a checking account, but what you need to open a checking account is part of a bigger package of the proper documents you need.
So this kind of gets me into another question for you, Brian. So it sounds like obviously a lawyer is one sort of person to talk to, right? So it's sort of like, you know, you're relying on the expertise of someone.
Yeah.
So is there, you have this, let's say, team, right? Is there, who else would you put in that team?
Yeah, at first I'll say the attorney's the bedrock where you gotta start. So
Okay.
you're not saving the $500 in the long run by not having, or whatever an attorney would cost for a consultation and get you incorporated. But second from there, I would say a good accountant, a good CPA.
Okay.
You know, when you're little and you're doing 10, 15, 20,000 a year maybe in revenue, and you've got some stuff you buy and you do some things to it and you sell it for a profit, you think you can handle it. And all of a sudden, it grows and you can't. You're meant to be the business owner, usually isn't very, very adept at doing taxes and bookkeeping.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Especially
it's-
nowadays.
Yeah, and it's not as simple as when you have a W-2 job and maybe, you know, you have to do your taxes at the end of the year, so you buy $49 TurboTax and you plug in a number from your document, and your spouse also works, and you put that number in there, and 40 minutes later you're done with your taxes and you're getting a refund. It's not like that with the business. It can matter. It can matter when you recognize revenue. Just as simple as cash versus accrual-based accounting. Something that a CPA can explain to you, and depending on what business and how big you are, there's rules on what you have to be. Some you don't have a choice, and you can run afoul of the law real quick if you're doing it incorrectly. So,
And
so the CPA is number two, definitely.
And planning too, right? A CPA, like you know your business. So as things are moving forward, right? If you know something is coming up, whether it's a purchase or an expansion or XYZ, they're going to help you ahead of time. So then you're not at the end, 10 days to the end of the year, and you're kind of, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they can give good advice on it. You know, a lot of our members here are equipment heavy, whether it's rolling stock or trailers or heavy equipment for construction. So to keep it short, there's depreciation, there's bonus depreciation, there's different things that have to happen in the calendar year usually.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
wait till after New Year's to bring your stuff to an accountant, he says you have a, for sake of argument, $50,000 profit, and you have to buy a truck anyways in January. If you would have bought it 3 weeks before, you possibly could have written some of it off. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a million scenarios, but it's something that they can advise you. It's more than just a tax preparer. So people have what's called a P10, which means you're registered with the IRS to file a tax return. And usually that's where it ends. You're not giving advice. You give a
You prepare the
enrolled
tax.
agent
Yeah.
your numbers, they put it in it, and they file it for you. A CPA, an accountant, actually gives you advice, and you know, let's say in transportation, a CPA that works with a lot of transportation customers, when he looks at your numbers at the end of the year, they'll be honest with you. They have a professional obligation. They'll tell you, hey, your margin, your profit, you're good.